I'm here with, I've introduced you many times, so I'll do it again. My friend, a colleague, both professionally and academically, let's say, and a former roommate, former, counselor at times. So a little bit of everything. Farzad Yousefian is a brilliant sports scientist from Canada originally, he's got a good background in real theoretical science, molecular genetics. I think was your first master's degree, and then also an excellent background in practical and applied science and physiology. So he's done two master's degrees. One was in molecular genetics, and the other was I guess we can say performance analysis, right?
Sports physiology, yeah.
Sports physiology, applied physiology, and performance analysis, and now is a PhD candidate in Portugal, and the university is
University of the Beira Interior. It's in
the
middle.
All right,
yes.
Right on. So he's in Portugal now, so he's joining us. I guess it's evening over there, yeah. And I would say the weather is better there than it is here, but it's not, because it's really nice and hot here too. Exactly. So we're all good. And Farzad and I, as I said, we've worked together in the amateur club environment here. We've worked at the professional level. We spent some time in Uruguay together. We've co-authored some papers and research studies that we've presented. I could say, I guess, all over the world, at least on two different continents that I can remember. And anyway, we're here to talk about today again what I think is a really fascinating topic, which is performance analysis, and specifically what can and cannot be measured, and how best to do that. So I guess, Farzad, if you want to maybe just give us a brief introduction of yourself, if there's anything I forgot or anything that I left out, and then we'll get into the topic.
No, first of all, thanks, Rich. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks to the NSCAC for the opportunity. I've done many of these discussions with you, and it's always been fascinating and a pleasure. And thanks for the participants who have come, and hopefully we'll get some more interactions and questions as we progress. Basically you hit it on the head, as well as my involvement with my company, Sports Performance Analytics. We're basically in the business of providing consultancy and performance analysis services to teams and clubs from the amateur to the professional level. And so people that are interested can visit our website. It's Sport Performance Analytics, inc.ca. But yeah, basically, performance analysis, the way I view the game is always from this physiology aspect of it, and how it can be integrated into the technical and tactical demands. Because at the end of the day, it is a sport. It's a very multifaceted sport, football or soccer, but it is played by human beings, which essentially provides the physiological angle to it. But basically, my research over the past couple of years has been towards this integration of understanding the game from a physiological and technical tactical side. And that involves using performance analysis as a tool. But I think what's important for coaches to understand is not to shy away from performance analytics or performance analysis, because it's a very huge umbrella term. And I think what coaches have to understand is, in its most basic terms, performance analysis is literally to analyze performance and to monitor performance. And so this can be regarding physical attributes, which is the strength and conditioning expertise that you provided over the years and discussed, the technical aspects, the tactical aspects, the psychological, mental, and as well as the health and wellness. So performance analysis can come into affect into any of these essential branches. And what's also important is the level of analysis. Are you analyzing the player, two players, dyads, triads, positions, the team, the opposition, and then the level of analysis that you want? Is it quantitative? Is it qualitative? Is it longitudinal? Are we looking at over a season, many matches? Are we looking at one match? Are we looking at the opposition specifically, or a preseason or a tournament? Depends on what the coaches want. And what's very important to understand about performance analysis is that there's a plethora of metrics that are out there, and methods of analyzing any of these various aspects that I've mentioned. But the limiting factor, especially within Canada, with its very young but growing football culture and the pay-to-play system at the amateur level, essentially are the budget and the involvement of technology. So we're not talking about performance analysis methods used by Barcelona, but we're not talking about grassroots performance analysis, but we're talking about somewhere in the middle. And obviously the resources and the communication with the coaches and having this interaction as an analyst with the coach and having an open-minded coach to be open to this kind of insights. But at the end of the day, the whole application that coaches have to understand is that it is to improve team and player performance. Now, what's very interesting about performance analysis is that no matter what you do, at the end of the day, it's the match that dictates what is important or what the situations are. So if you are just collecting data for the sake of collecting data, you're wasting time. The most important thing about performance analysis is to be able to collect relevant data that's related to the match, that is reliable, and that is trainable. So to understanding situations and metrics that are, for example, applicable to the team in order to increase their performance in the match, and also to use the match as highlighting these critical moments that you need improvements on. So for example, if you want to increase high intensity running capacity, for example, well, that's great. There are several ways of measuring, for example, your endurance capacity. But what's more important is understanding where you fail in your physical attributes during a match, and then using those moments and the match situations in order to create the training sessions that reflect the match. And that's the difference between these advanced concepts of specific design or representative design in performance analysis and the basis for your training sessions, essentially.
All right. Well, thanks, Farzad. That was a good, thorough explanation and answer to the question, what is performance analysis? So that's great. Now, I'm going to try to paraphrase a little bit, and then we'll get into maybe one topic at a time, because there's a lot of interesting things you said. So I'll say, first of all, performance analysis, who does that? Who is it that does performance analysis? Well, coaches do it. Everybody does it. At its most basic level, of course, what it means to analyze performance is to watch and then, literally, form opinions, try to collect some kind of data, and try to come up with, to make sense of that data and come up with some actionable steps. So coaches, already do that. Fitness coaches, sports scientists do that too. I think you said something interesting when you're speaking sort of about, well, okay, on the high end, there's the professional clubs in Europe that have, that just have a lot of money. And of course, because they do that, they can invest a lot in human resources and staff, and they can invest a lot in, technology and everything. And then, on the totally opposite side of the spectrum, you've got, kind of beginner, maybe even grassroots, and where maybe analysis isn't so valuable. I know you and I, we've worked at the high levels, and not at the top yet, but hopefully one day. But we've done some work at the amateur level, in Canada, and at the higher levels, and often in both of those environments, there isn't always a lot of, there aren't always a lot of resources available for people, knowledgeable, experienced professionals that know really what they're doing, and there are also isn't always a lot of resources available for technology. So we kind of work in there, and I know you've even with your business, and I want to be clear on the URL. Can you just say it again? I'll type it in the chat. It's
sportperformanceanalytics.ca.
Yeah, .ca. That's, I wanted to make sure about analytics.ca. Sportperformanceanalytics.ca. Okay. So if you want to see more specifically about what Farzad is doing with his business, including some of the the technology he's working on developing right now, again, to fill that gap, which is the gap between the grassroots that don't really need analysis and the top pros that have unlimited resources. Everyone else is in the middle, and again, that's a lot of the work that we do. Okay, so that was an interesting point, and I guess maybe if we can start talking about, let's say, performance analysis. Again, you mentioned different categories, so maybe let's start with physical performance. And I know obviously it's maybe a little more my specialty, I guess, but you do a ton of work with that too. So what are the most important things? You did mention that, when we're analyzing performance, we really, we want to look at games, right? And we want to see how are players physically performing in games and probably also in training, right?
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.